Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about digital media. Let's see. First of all, let's look at our learning objectives. Number one, we need to understand the digital advertising objective. Number two, digital advertising formats. Number three, digital advertising buying. And four, digital advertising measurement. So we're going to talk about four things, actually, four learning objectives. Before we get started, I'd like you guys to get familiar with two very important websites where you will be able to learn so much more about digital advertising and digital media than anywhere else. The first website is called Internet Advertising Bureau. It's iab.com. And the second one is called emarketer.com. So let's look at the Internet Advertising Bureau first. Let's see. Okay, iab.com or iab.net. So this website is basically has tons of information about anything about digital advertising. And it used to be called Interactive Advertising Bureau or Internet Advertising Bureau, IAB Bureau, which is like an industrial group. It has tons of information about, let's say, for example, knowledge center. Okay, so it has lots of information about what's going on, everything you want to know about digital advertising. And as you can see, we talk about data, mobile, video, research, and analytics. There are tons of information. You can just keep in touch with what's going on with the status, happenings in the internet advertising or digital advertising. That kind of terms have been evolving over the years. At the very beginning, it's kind of web advertising. And then some people use internet advertising, and then we have interactive advertising, and then more broadly, we just call digital advertising. So as you can see, we have standards, for example, standards and guidelines. You can look at lots of information about standards and guidelines. And then, as you can see, we look at all different kinds of standard formats. For example, IAB new ad portfolio. They have some recommendation about the sizes, the types of new type of advertising formats, display ads, native ads, new media expenses. I mean, the new forms of advertising emerge, continuously. So that makes sure that we have some kind of industrial standards across all different digital media properties. So this is the standards, and obviously you can have even talk about the open podcast management guideline. They're just a big knowledge base and industrial source for you to keep up with what's happening. This is a very important website. I'd like to get you guys to get familiar with. And number two website is called emarketers.com. This is the website that has more actually, how do I put it? This website actually is really used for professionals, and you need really to, if you really want to get some information, you need to get a subscribe to this different plans. Actually, they have pricing, and they have all different kinds of pricing stuff that help you to. The basic stuff obviously is free. You can sign up, get the articles, podcasts, run-ups, webinar, videos, newsletter. Which most people have if you really try to learn about the internet advertising or digital advertising. But if you're professional, if you want to really to know detailed stuff, you need to just get the pro version, and then obviously you have to pay. Okay, this is many years ago when I was working as a director of e-commerce, e-marketing, and I remember our company was subscribing to this service. We paid about $5,000 per year for two of its channels. One is called online advertising, and another is called financial channels. So with two channels, because at the time I was in charge of the financial portal, which is at the time similar to Yahoo portal. So this is a very important website. As a matter of fact, you will see lots of charts, you know, from professional presentation, they cite eMarketer's report. Okay, so this is a very important website as well. And talking about its site, obviously, let's look at one of its a result. Let's see. Okay. So digital advertising, for example, digital advertising spending. Now, professionals actually cite the sources from eMarketer talking about the projections of digital ad spending in the United States, and obviously you can also get the information about the global spending by country, by regions, and as you can see, this is something that 2019, last year, the total digital advertising spending is $129 billion, and for the for the first time, actually, it's 54.2% of the all advertising spending. So this is a pretty big amount because for the first time, digital advertising surpasses non-digital advertising, which tells you a lot about the importance of digital advertising in the marketing campaign and the branding. So digital advertising definitely is growing, you know, tremendously. You know, even like the year of 2018, it's still below 50%, but since 2019, it surpassed 50%, and then it keeps growing. And you see, it's 2023, it's gonna increase to 66.8%. So that obviously tells you a lot about what's going on in the digital advertising space. And talking about digital advertising, I have to mention that digital advertising spending actually is like pretty much dominated by duopoly, which is Facebook and Google, and then the third player, Amazon, it's quickly catching up. So pretty much we have three big players dominate. They probably account for almost 75% of all digital advertising spending, which tells you a lot about what's going on in the marketplace. I mean, it's just the big players, big fish eat small fish, and small fish have no room to grow. I mean, they have to die. And I have posted one article from Wall Street Journal published last year, November, talking about how Google did many things to become a dominant player, by purchasing small players, by buying other companies, and then become the biggest player in the digital advertising space, which actually is bad for the company because it invites government's suspicion, because they want to make sure that they're not going to be having a monopolistic behavior in the advertising space. Now let's talk about digital advertising objectives. As you can see, look at this funnel. I mean, that's a typical kind of way of looking at advertising. You know, digital advertising is advertising. I mean, it still applies the principle of traditional advertising with starting from the awareness all the way down to advocacy. I mean, it's pretty much the same for traditional advertising. I think the reason is very simple, and even though we have different types of forms of advertising, our human brain hasn't changed that much for thousands of years. We still have the same kind of desires, dreams, aspirations. We still have the same kind of uh, you know in other words, we're the same. The human nature hasn't changed, and as our mind is still processing information in a similar fashion. So start with awareness. Awareness basically means that you become aware of the brand, and so typically that's the number one step that advertising objectives are. And typically we have our number one advertising objective for this campaign is to increase brand awareness 20% within the campaign period of time, typically 12 months, right? And after get consumers become aware of your brand, and they know what your brand is, the name, what it stands for, and what's useful. I mean, the benefits, the values, the features, and so and then they begin, if you like it, they say, well, I'm going to consider, become interested, right? Once you become interested, you say, yeah, this is good for me. This is let's say Tesla. It's a brand, right? You become aware of Tesla. Okay, it's electric car, and then so you become really fascinated by this vehicle, and then you look at the people driving Tesla. You go to the Tesla's showroom. I mean, they don't have a dealer, obviously. You could just go to the mall, and then the Brea Mall has a Tesla. I think it had Tesla in the showroom. So you go there and you get some experience, like sit there. Obviously not driving, but you sit there and play with it. And obviously you become aware of Tesla through the media. I mean, through Twitter, Elon Musk Twitter, and also through all kinds of reports. So you become interested, and then one day you want to consider buying a new vehicle, electric vehicle. Some people told you the Prius is pretty good, but Tesla is probably much better. So it's a consideration, we call it, your consideration. And then consideration is still you're thinking about buying it. You're not having to make a decision yet, right? So then you move down to the next level, which is called conversion. Literally means that you bought it, okay? You made a decision. You bought the vehicle, you bought a Tesla, and then you begin to drive a Tesla, and it's becoming your best brand. You're so proud of yourself, and you have lots of features. It's a cool car, and it's environmental friendly, and it looks cool, and your friends, your family members all admire you, look at you. I mean, oh, gee, you are so good. So then you become very, very loyal fan of the Tesla, and you're part of the Tesla community. And the community's god is Elon Musk. I mean, it's like god-like a figure, so billionaire, legendary, the god of Silicon Valley. So this is a pretty cool place, like a place, a pretty cool vehicle to own and have a place in your heart. So you become very loyal. And loyalty basically means that you won't buy any other car, if it's not a Tesla. Okay, so you think about its truck maybe, or think about its Model X if you have Model 3. I mean, so it's everything about Tesla is becoming such a good experience. And then you communicate with your friends, families, and acquaintances, and then you become like a evangelical of Tesla. in other words, you move on to the bottom level, which is advocacy. We basically spread a part of the word of mouth to the people who don't know about the Tesla. Okay, so becoming advocacy. As you can look at it, it's like have a star. Advocacy is the highest level of brand relationship. In other words, you become not only a buyer, a consumer of that brand, but also you become ambassador. You become an advocate for the brand, and then you you have a word of mouth, positive word of mouth, and nowadays actually you probably spread positive word of mouth on Facebook, on Snapchat, on your other social media networks, and then talk about your positive experience of driving Tesla. Probably once in a while you have some pictures of yourself driving, but obviously please don't drive in auto driving mode because that's the best way to get you killed. That's one of the Chinese engineers in Silicon Valley. This guy every day he just put on autopilot and then just auto drive. No, that's too dangerous. Please don't do it. Okay, so let's talk about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different steps or 5 different levels. It's funnel. Why is funnel? Because obviously the people become aware is biggest percentage of their target market, and then the people who really become your advocates are going to be much smaller percentage of your target market. So as you can see, if you look at the funnel and then you look at the how consumers process information and then go through that decision-making process. Now, on the left side, you can see there are all different kinds of formats of advertising, digital advertising formats, which we can use. Now, I'm not saying that each format can be only used for raising awareness, but its primary purpose, for example, if you want to raise awareness, obviously the display advertising. And what is display advertising? Display advertising basically those are advertising, for example, at the top of the Wall Street Journal or New York Times, the banner, the bigger banner is the display advertising. You can click on it. It's clickable banners, or sometimes it could be on your right hand of the page. All those banners, all those images, display advertising. Display advertising could be clickable or non-clickable, and or sometimes it's just image try to just get you aware of the brand. For example, sometimes New York Times you'll see Tiffany ads. Now if you click on that, it's going to bring you to Tiffany's website, which allows you to explore more about the brand, and this is a really good because it's a clicks. You can click on it and then you get more information. Okay, obviously display advertising, and then the other type of advertising allows you to raise brand awareness called streaming audio. Streaming audio, you can obviously place the audio ads within Pandora or within Spotify or just so that's those it's a streaming audio, or you can sometimes embed the brand icons or brand names within the game. Okay, the games. Now games are two different types. One is hard coded. In other words, it's basically just inside of the video game itself. It takes much longer lead time for you to get it done, and it's permanent actually within the it could be some kind of particular type of a vehicle. For example, you can do the Ford Mustang, like say the vehicle is used, the Mustangs everywhere, or you can be like say if you want to embed into the Tesla into the video game, you can do that as well. Or sometimes you can do dynamically. You can have your brand names put it in some kind of environment or some in front of the shop, a video game, so games you can embed those brands inside of the games. And another type of the digital advertising that is effective to raise brand awareness called streaming video, also called pre-roll. And the streaming videos are very short. Instead of like 30-second TV commercials within the TV or 30-second TV commercial radio, streaming video is very like 8 seconds or even 10 seconds or 4 seconds. Now, research has shown that it's very effective. Even it's like a few seconds, you get the name out, and the consumers can skip. You play, especially the YouTube video. I mean, you want to play something. It's fun, and if you don't have the so-called the premium YouTube service, you have to play the video, not video ads, right? Those ads. But it gives you option of skip ads, like say 3 seconds or 4 seconds, and it doesn't impact user experience as much. Unlike the traditional TV advertising, it forces you to watch like 30 seconds. I mean, it's corrupting your TV viewing, especially if you watch a movie. It's really disrupting your movie experience, and people don't like it. That's why people like Netflix. They don't like watch TV on the let's say on YouTube. I mean, YouTube TV nowadays actually they do have a movie channel, but I find out that it's kind of not a good experience because yeah. So what I do is that I just record it and then just fast forward those TV commercials. But obviously that's additional time you have to spend. Make sure you fast forward TV commercials. By the way, the fast forward TV commercial also has some. Even you do fast forward, the research has shown that it's still effective because you are still paying attention to watching those TV commercials. Anyway, so streaming video is much more effective than TV commercial because it's short. Okay, so all those 4 different types of the digital advertising formats are used primarily to raise brand awareness. I mean, can we say that they can also impact people's consideration, conversion, loyalty, advocacy? Yes, possibly. I mean, it's reinforcing your brand awareness. That's possible. But we have a primary purpose. We want our advertising objective is to increase the brand awareness. We tend to think about those 4 different types. Now, what about consideration? If our objective is that to make consumers begin to consider buying our product, then we tend to use something called something that mobile and tablet in-app, mobile advertising. Because when you are in the mobile, and then you most likely connect it directly to your payment system. So if you buy, I mean, especially impulse buy, you click on it, you buy it, and then immediately the pay is done. Okay, so that's really the mobile. That's mobile is why mobile is easy for you to get into consideration set. And then consumer reviews directory also are very good for mobile not for mobile and Apple consumer review directories. They also can be very useful for people to consider buying your product. Consumer reviews. What are consumer reviews? I mean, like Yelp, like Angie's List. Those are the before you make begin to click on the buy button. Most likely you want to make sure that what other people are saying about that particular brand, right? So you read the consumer review, or sometimes you look at the directories, like online yellow pages, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, those are the decision-making process that goes through. Now, there's another format that help you to do help the consumer to become a buyer. Okay, like location-based targeting. Location-based targeting is very effective because if this type of ad actually, for example, if you walk past by like In-N-Out restaurant, and then suddenly there's a location-based advertising that pop up, and they say, well, just get the coupon, 50% off purchase of In-N-Out meal, and then you jump on it. You just walk into the In-N-Out and get the deal, right? So that's pretty good way of getting consumers like impulsive buying. Paid search also very effective to get people become buyers. Paid search, I mean, when people searching for something, I mean, usually they're they already begin to buy stuff, right? So you want to buy, let's say you buy, let's say buy a laptop, for example. When you search different brands, compare the features. So you go to Google. You typically now the paid search we also will have the Google and Bing, right? But Bing is really have a very small market share, and the Google search dominate, almost 80% of the market share. So paid search is very effective to get your name out. I mean, so you have organic search result on the left side, and then we have a paid search. You can buy, those organic, those on the right hand side, the top, middle, and bottom, all those text ads. All those ads are really paid search, and people tend to click on those ads and then begin to buy stuff. Okay, let's move on to direct email. Now, direct email is the best way to engage existing customers, already customers, and then communicate with them. Sometimes give some rewards, and then give them some new deals. Very 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 often used. And paid social is another form of advertising, which is can be done. Uh, Basically, just you can buy ads in the Facebook, the social networks, and try to get those ads, with like a buzz, like a feed, news feed or content feed, so that get you, basically generate more buzz for your brand, so that they're more inclined to like your brand over time. So as you can see, we have 5 different levels within this funnel. And then depending on which type of objectives, primary objective you want to have your campaign, you want to use a corresponding type of advertising formats. Okay, so advertising format, which we already talked about. Now let's talk about advertising buying. Okay, how do we buy and sell advertising? Let's looking at from the marketer's perspective. Let's say I'm General Motors. Okay, I want to buy ads in the digital space. Now, how do I get those ads? Now, there are 3 different levels to get those ads bought. Number 1 is called a publish directory. Publish directory basically said, let's say you go directly with New York Times or Wall Street Journal. I mean, those big publisher, okay, website. So you get, you talk directly with them, and they, you negotiate with them, figure out some kind of deals, but I mean, that's by far the probably the best way of getting the best deal. And on the other hand, if you want to buy, buy from hundreds of millions of other websites, you need to use ad networks. Those networks, they basically become like provide a platform on which hundreds of websites publish their content providers. They have spaces for you to buy, and so Google's AdX by far is a dominant player. And I want you to read the article I posted on that particular topic, on digital media topic. And it talks about how Google's AdX, it's so important because it's the Google technology dominant in that search business. So it's really biased towards in favor of Google. Number 3 way of is called programmatic buying. Programmatic buying becoming very very popular. I mean, in other words, it's a machine. It's algorithm driven. It's pretty much like a buying and selling stocks. Okay, so no humans involved. I mean, not a human real time involved. Basically, you put the program in, and then the advertisers bid those ads real time, and then so it's really smooth. And in fact, the programmatic buying is replacing lots of work used to be done by humans, so, which creates a problem for uh, for us. You know, we want our students to be media planners and they buyers, and then those programs really kill lots of jobs. By the way, this is a very deep topic. I'm just mentioning it here. I mean, some my friends at the Michigan State, and actually he's teaching a class called programmatic advertising, which is a very complex topic. So those of you who have interest, I encourage you to Google that the programmatic advertising buying. It's very complex topic. Okay, basically it's you think about it like buying ad space as if you're buying stock symbols. You know, you just auction bidding process. Now let's move on to talk about digital advertising measurement. Now, before we talk about, you know, in previous session, actually, we talked about traditional advertising. We talked about the CPM, CPP, all those measurement format, right? CPM, uh, cost per thousand, CPP, cost per rating point, right? Those are the ways of measuring traditional advertising effectiveness or efficiency. Now, in the digital space, we still have this CPM used, especially for display advertising. But by far, because in the digital space, it's much more tractable because that's one of the beauty of digital advertising, that we can track its effects over time and know what's going on, and then we can adjust campaign on the fly, meaning that we can just look at the results sometimes in real time to see if this doesn't work, we come up with different format, different message. And I list like four types of digital advertising measurement. Number one is called click-through rate. Click-through rate basically is a very simple idea, is that number of clicks divided by number of impressions delivered times 100%. When you talk about rate, pretty much it is a percentage concept. So click-through rate used to be extremely high. Back when the first internet advertisement was presented, like I think it's by AT&T on Wired magazine in 1994, the click-through rate is almost like more than 90%, because it's a novelty. I mean, people want to click on this banner ad. But nowadays, click-through rate fall way below 1%, typically 0.3, 0.8%. And because unless the banner is super creative, or shocking, and then people just take that for granted. They don't even pay attention sometimes. Number two is called CPC, cost per click. I mean, it's efficiency measure. Okay, total cost of impression divided to the number of clicks. So this is the dollars. How much dollar I talking about? Cost per click, CPC, and then we have a CPA, cost per action. The total cost divided to the number of actions. When we talk about action, we talk about could be if you go to people's website, it could be registration, could be action, or could it be just send an email, or could it be make a phone call. All those are the actions, or could it be just buy the product directly. Next is called a conversion rate. Conversion rate you can calculate differently. You can do total number of conversions divided by total clicks. Basically said, if people click on that banner ad, and among those clicks, how many people really buy your product? People click on your banner ad, it doesn't mean that they're going to buy stuff, right? Sometimes they don't buy. Or you can do total number of conversions divided by impression, in the sense that instead of using clicks, I mean, you just say total impression delivered, how many people buy. So it's a rate. It's a percentage concept. So let's look at some examples that I put here. So we have CPC. I mean, CPC basically it's giving basically okay, cost per click, right? Cost is $30,000 and $7,000, so it's a $4.29 click per click. CPA is like 3,000 divided by 3,750. It's $8. CTR is like 7,000 divided by 2 million times 100%. It's like 0.35%. It's a CTR. It's a click-through rate. So this is kind of stuff I want you to be able to do some calculations. So by the way, for our final WY, I'm going to have you guys to do some calculations, CPC, CPA, CTR, that kind of stuff. So, and obviously, cost per click from the advertiser's perspective, that it's the lower the better. Obviously, CPA obviously lower the better. Click-through rate obviously the higher the better, because you want to get people. And the more people click on it, that tells you that more people show interest in deeper interest in your product or service. Okay, so that's all for this session, digital media. See you next time.